Hi and welcome to AliSec. In this short and powerful course, we're going to learn some essential Linux commands that you'll need while working with Kali Linux. This course is inspired by Linux Basics for Hackers and is perfect for anyone who wants to get more comfortable using Kali for cybersecurity tasks. Whether you're just starting or want a quick refresher, this course will help you build a strong foundation. We'll cover the most important terms, commands, and real examples, so you can start using Kali Linux with more confidence and ease. And the best part, this is a quick and focused course, but I guarantee that by the end of it, you'll feel more at home in Kali Linux. If this video helps you out, please do me a big favor. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support means a lot. It keeps me motivated to keep sharing what I've learned and to create more useful content for you. Thanks for watching, and let's get started. In this video, everything we do will be on Kali Linux, which is part of the Linux family. Just note this, most Linux commands and functions work the same across different Linux distros, so even if you're using something else, this will still help you. If you've already installed your Linux OS, then you're good to go. Let's jump right in. Here's the thing, hackers like action. We like building stuff, breaking stuff, testing limits. Most of us don't want to sit through hours of boring theory before doing anything cool. So, this video is all about giving you the basic skills to start using Kali Linux right now. We're not going super deep just yet, this is your starting point. You'll learn just enough to begin exploring Linux on your own. And in the next parts, we'll go into more detail step by step. Alright, let's kick off this journey into the world of Linux basics for hackers. Before we dive deep into terminal commands and start messing around with systems, let's get comfortable with a few key terms. These are words you're going to hear over and over again in the hacking scene, so better understand them now than get confused later. First up, binaries. When hackers talk about binaries, we mean files that are executable. They can run on their own. If you're from a Windows background, think of them like .x files. In Linux, binaries are usually stored in folders like /userbin or /usersbin. These include common tools like ps, cat, ls, and ifconfig. You'll be using all of these, trust me. Some hacking tools are binaries too, like aircracking, used for wireless attacks, or not used for detecting intrusions. Next, case sensitivity. In Linux, desktop is not the same as non-desktop, or desktop. They're three totally different things. If you get a file not found error, double-check the spelling, and especially the upper lowercase letters. This is one of the first things that trips up people who are used to Windows. Then we've got directories. A directory is just a folder, that's it. In Linux, everything is organized using directories. It's kind of like a tree structure. You've got folders inside folders, and that's how everything stays organized. Let's talk about home directory. Every user in Linux has their own personal space in the /home folder. For example, if your username is Alex, then your home directory is /home/Alex. Any files you create or download will usually end up there by default. Think of it like your own workspace. Kali Linux is a special version of Linux built just for hacking and penetration testing. It comes packed with hundreds of pre-installed tools, so you don't have to waste time downloading each one. Tools for wireless hacking, password cracking, social engineering, it's all in there. Another core concept. Root. Root is the super user in Linux. This is the admin account, the one that can do absolutely anything. Add users, install programs, change system settings, delete files, everything. As a hacker or pen tester, you'll often need root access to run certain tools or gain full control of the system. Many tools actually won't work unless you're running as root. Let's move on to scripts. A script is just a list of commands saved in a file. When you run it, the system reads the file and executes the commands one by one. Most hacking tools are just smart scripts. They can be written in different languages: Bash, Python, Perl, or Ruby. Right now, Python is the most popular scripting language in the hacking community, so it's good to start learning it. The shell is your command center. It's where you type in commands and get stuff done. The most common one is called Bash, short for Born Again Shell. You'll be using Bash in almost every situation while working in Kali. Other shells exist, like ZSH or CSH, but we'll stick with Bash for now. Finally, terminal. The terminal is the window you use to talk to the shell. It's a command line interface, or CLI. It looks simple, just a black box with text, but this is where all the power is. Real hackers live in the terminal. Alright, now that you've got these basic terms down, we're ready to get our hands dirty and start working inside Kali Linux. You're about to build the foundation every hacker needs, so stay locked in and let's move. Let's jump in and take a quick tour of Kali Linux. It's better to take a quick look at two core things you need to know right away. The terminal interface, where all the real hacking happens, and the file structure, how Linux organizes everything behind the scenes. These two are the foundation. Once you get comfortable with them, everything else will start to make sense. The terminal is located here, in the top panel. We will navigate to it by clicking the icon that looks like a small black screen. Once you click it, the terminal window will open. The terminal is the command line interface, or CLI. This is where you type commands to control Kali Linux directly. Hackers use the terminal because it gives fast and powerful access to the system. This terminal opens the command line environment, called the shell. The shell lets you run commands on the operating system and write scripts to automate tasks. Linux has many different shell types, but the most popular one, and the default in Kali, is called bash. Now, as a quick example, if you want to change your password, you can use the command passwd. Just type passwd in the terminal, press enter, and follow the instructions to set a new password. Now, let's talk about the Linux file system. Linux organizes files differently than Windows. In Windows, you have physical drives like the C drive, but in Linux, there are no physical drives at the base. Instead, Linux uses a logical file system. Everything starts from a single top point called slash. This slash is known as the root of the file system. You can imagine it like an upside-down tree, where everything grows from the root at the top. Just a quick note. Don't confuse this root with the root user we talked about earlier. At first, these terms can be confusing, but don't worry. You'll get used to them as you work more with Linux. Now let's explore the main directories inside the Linux file system, starting from the root. The root is at the top of everything. Think of it as the trunk of the tree, and everything else branches out from there. Here are some of the most important directories you'll see. Root. This is the home directory of the root user, the most powerful user in the system, etc. This is where most system configuration files are stored. These files control how and when programs start up. Home. This is where all regular users have their personal folders. For example, if your username is Ali, your home directory is /home/Ali, MNT. This is where temporary file systems are mounted. For example, if you attach another hard drive, Linux can mount it here. Media. This is where USB drives, CDs, or SD cards are usually mounted automatically. Bin. This folder holds binaries, which are the core applications and commands Linux uses, similar to .exe files in Windows. Lib. This is where libraries are stored. Shared code that programs need to run. They're similar to DLL files in Windows. We'll be using most of these directories later in this series, so getting familiar with them early on will help you a lot. Now, one important tip. When you're just doing normal tasks, like browsing, opening files, or using tools like Wireshark, don't log in as the root user. Why? Because if someone hacks your system while you're logged in as root, they immediately gain full control. Instead, always log in as a regular user for day-to-day stuff. Only use root when you need full access, like for installing tools, changing settings, or doing deep system work. But for now, since we're just practicing and learning, staying logged in as root is okay. Finding yourself with pwd. Alright, let's begin with some basic commands to get you up and running in Linux. The first command you need to know is pwd, which stands for print working directory. In Linux, unlike Windows or Mac OS, the command line doesn't always show you where you are, so before navigating anywhere, it's good to know your current location in the file system. To find out, just type pwd and hit enter. You should see something like /root. This tells us we're in the root user's home directory. That's normal because we logged in as root. If you were in a different folder, pwd would show that folder instead. Simple, but super useful, especially when you're deep inside directories and need to know exactly where you are. Checking your login with whoami. Next, let's check which user we're currently logged in as, and for that, we use the command whoami. In Linux, the root user is the all-powerful account. It has full control, the ability to add users, change passwords, install tools, and modify the system. Most hacker tools need root privileges to run properly. So it's important to know whether you're logged in as root or not. To check that, just type whoami. If you're logged in as root, you'll see root. But if you're using a different account, like a personal user, it will show your username instead. This is a quick way to confirm your access level before running any commands or tools that require root privileges. Now let's talk about navigating the Linux file system using the terminal. When you're using a GUI, it's easy to click through folders, but in the terminal, everything is text-based, so you'll need to use commands to move around. The main command for this is cd, which stands for change directory, Let me show you how it works. If I want to go to the /etc directory, where Linux stores configuration files, I just type cd/etc. Now look at the command prompt. It changes and shows /etc, which means we're now inside that directory. To confirm your current location, type pwd and it will return /etc. Now, what if you want to go backward, like go up one step to where you came from? You can use this, cd double dot. The dot means go up one level. So if you were in /etc, now you're back at /, which is the root of the entire Linux file system. To check again, type pwd and you'll see the / now. Let's say you were deep inside multiple folders, like this path, /home, /kali, /desktop. If you want to move up one level from desktop to Kali, you use cd dot dot. If you want to move up 2 levels from desktop to home, you use cd dot dot / dot dot. That means go up once to Kali, then up again to home. If you need to go up 3 levels, you can use cd double dot / double dot / double dot. So each double dots moves you up one folder level in the directory tree, and if you ever want to go straight to the top, no matter where you are, just type cd /. That brings you directly to the root of the file system, the /. Next up, let's learn how to list the contents of a directory using the ls command. This command shows you the files and folders inside the directory you're currently in. Think of it like the dir command in Windows. Just type ls and press enter. You'll see a list of files and folders like this. If you want to see the contents of a different directory, just add the directory path after the command. For example, ls/etc will show what's inside the /etc folder. Now, if you want more detailed information, like file permissions, owner, size, and modification date, you can add -l option, which stands for long listing. Try this, ls-l. This will give you a longer list showing details like whether it's a file or directory, number of links, owner name, group name, file size, date and time of last change, file or folder name. If you want to see hidden files as well, files starting with a dot, add the -a option. Try ls-la. This combines both options, -l and -a, into one command. Hidden files are often system or configuration files, so if you don't see a file you expect, try ls-a or ls-la. Alright, now let's talk about how to get help with commands and tools in Linux. Almost every command or tool in Linux comes with a built-in help menu. For example, if I need help using the wireless hacking tool aircrackng, I can type aircrackng-help. Notice the double dash before help. In Linux, the rule is use double dashes before full word options like double-help. Use single dashes before single letter options like -h. When I run this command, it shows a short description of the tool and how to use its options. Now let's say I want help with another tool like the popular port scanner nmap. I can type nmap-h. In many tools, -help, or even $? Can all work, but not always. Some tools only support one of them. So if -help doesn't work, try -h or $? Instead. This is super helpful when you're testing or exploring new hacker tools and don't want to search the web for every small thing. Now, let's talk about a more detailed way to get help in Linux, and that's by using the manual pages, also called man pages. Most Linux tools and commands come with a full manual that explains how they work, what options they support, and even examples of usage. To view a manual page, just type man + command. For example, to see the manual for aircrackng, I would type man aircrackng. This opens a full manual for the tool. At the top, you'll see sections like name, shows the name and a short description. Synopsis explains how to use the command with its options. Description gives detailed info on what the tool does and how it works. This manual is more in-depth than just using -help. When you're done, just press Q. That quits the man page and takes you back to the terminal. Using man is a great habit, especially when you're learning new hacker tools and want to understand them fully, straight from the source. How to find stuff in Linux using the terminal. When you're new to Linux, it can be tricky to find files or tools, but don't worry. I'll show you some simple commands to help you locate what you need quickly. One of the easiest commands to use is locate. To use it, just type locate followed by a keyword, the name or part of the name of the file or program you're looking for. For example, to find aircrackng, you type locate aircrackng. This will show you all the places on your system where aircrackng appears like this. Locate is very fast and useful, but keep in mind 2 things. It can sometimes show too many results, which might be confusing. It uses a database that updates once a day, so new files might not appear immediately. Now, if you're specifically looking for a binary file, like the actual program you run, the whereis on command is super useful. Unlike locate, which shows every file that matches the word, whereis focuses only on the important parts, like the binary file, the source code, if available, and the man page. Let's try it with aircrack-ng. Type where's aircrack-ng, and you'll get something like this. This shows the binary path /user/bin/aircrack-ng. This is where the program runs from. The man page location, which you can open with the man command like we did earlier. So whereis is a much cleaner way to find where the actual program is stored, instead of scrolling through hundreds of results from locate. This is a command I personally use often when I just want to know where's the binary for this tool, and nothing else. We already went over binary files, we talked about them in part 1, but I'll give you a quick recap. This is just a short review, right? It'll help you remember the content if you've forgotten it. A binary file is a type of file that your computer can run, like aircrack, ng, nmap, or ping. These aren't text files, they're actual programs your system can execute. Now let's talk about finding binaries in the path variable with which. This one is even more specific than whereis. The which command only tells you the exact location of the binary file that your system will run, based on something called the path variable. Don't worry, we'll talk more about the path variable later in the series. But for now, just remember this. The path is a list of directories that Linux checks when you run a command. So if I type aircrack-ng, Linux checks those directories in the path to see where the actual binary file is located. To see where a binary is located, just type which aircrack-ng. You will see /user/bin/aircrack-ng. This means when I type aircrack-ng, Linux runs the version that's stored in /user/bin. This is useful when you want to know exactly which version of a tool is being used, especially if you've installed it in multiple places. So to keep it simple, locate shows everything. Whereis shows binaries, man pages, and source, if any, which shows the exact binary your system runs based on your path. Now let's look at one of the most powerful search tools in Linux, and that's the find command. This one's different from locate, whereis, or which. Find gives you full control. You can search in any directory and use all kinds of filters like file name, file type, owner, size, permissions, date modified, and more. Let's start with a simple example. When you're trying to find something like a file named Apache2 on your Linux system, you can use the find command. Now, here's the thing. If you run this command, find /etc-type f-name apache2.*, this will search every folder in the system, so it might take longer, but it gives you everything that exactly matches the name Apache2. You'll get results like /etc/apache2.conf. That means the file named Apache2, or one with that in the name, was found in the /etc/apache2/ folder. But what if you only get one result, like that one file? That's totally fine. It's actually very common because configuration files are usually stored in etc. So if you want your search to be faster and more focused, you can narrow it down to just the etc folder like this. Find /etc-type f-name apache2. This way, you're telling the system, hey, only look inside the etc directory for files named Apache2. Now, of course, if you're not sure where the file might be, or if it could be in other places too, you can still search the whole system. But just remember, it will take longer, and it might give you a lot of results, depending on the system. Alright, let's take a quick but helpful look at wildcards, a powerful tool when you're using the find command in Linux or working with file searches. They help you match patterns instead of exact names, which makes your searches much easier and more flexible. First, we have the asterisk symbol, which means any number of characters. You can use it to match anything, even if it's 0 characters. For example, if you write asterisk at, it will match cat, hat, what, or bat, because the asterisk means it doesn't matter what comes before at. It can be one letter, many letters, or even nothing at all. Second, the question mark means exactly one character. If you write question mark plus at, it will match cat, bat, or hat, but not what, because what has more than one character before at. So remember, one character only for the question mark. These wildcards are very useful when you want to find or list files without typing the full name. Try using them when working in the terminal. It will save you a lot of time. And the general structure of a find command looks like this. Find plus directory plus options plus expression. So in our example, find / etc., that's the directory we're searching in. -type f is the option, which means we're looking for files. -name Apache2 is the expression, and the name should be exactly Apache2. Now let's get into today's topic, filtering with grep. So very often when you're using the terminal, you might want to search for a specific keyword in the output, like something you're trying to find in a long list. For that, we use a command called grep. Now grep is basically a filter. It lets you search through the output of a command and only shows the lines that match your keyword. Let me give you an example using the ps command. So ps shows all the processes running on the system, everything that's active right now. But what if we don't want everything? What if we're just trying to see if Apache 2 is running? Here's where grep comes in. You can use this ps pipe grep Apache 2. So what's happening here? This symbol, that's called a pipe, takes the output of the first command, ps and sends it into the second command, grep Apache 2. Then grep filters through all that and just shows you lines that have the word Apache 2 in them. That way, instead of reading through hundreds of lines, you get just the few lines you actually care about. Saves you time and your eyesight. Alright guys, let's move on to the next topic, modifying files and directories. So once you've found your files and directories, you'll want to be able to perform actions on them. In this part, we'll look at how to create files and directories, copy files, rename files, and delete files and directories. Now, there are many ways to create files in Linux, but for now, we'll just look at two simple methods. The first one is cat, which stands for concatenate. That just means to combine pieces together. It's not about your favorite pet cat or anything like that. The cat command is generally used for displaying the contents of a file, but it can also be used to create small files. For creating bigger files, it's better to enter the code in a text editor like Vim, Emacs, Leafpad, Gedit, or Kate, and then save it as a file. Alright, let's talk about concatenation with cat. Now usually, cat is used for reading or displaying the content of a file, but we can also use it to make new files, add more text to a file, or even replace the whole content with something else. In step 1, we're going to create a new file using the cat command. In the terminal, type the word cat followed by the greater than symbol, and then the name of the file you want to create. For example, cat greater than hackingskills.txt. Now, after you press enter, the terminal will seem like it's waiting. That means you're in interactive mode. This is where you type the content of the file. So now type this sentence. Hacking is the most valuable skill set of the 21st century. When you're done typing, press Ctrl and the letter D at the same time to save the file and exit. Now, if you want to see what's inside the file, you can simply type cathackingskills.txt. And you will see. Hacking is the most valuable skill set of the 21st century. In step 2, we're going to add more text to the same file without deleting what's already there. To do this, type the word cat followed by two greater than symbols and then the name of your file. Like this, cat double greater than hackingskills.txt. Again, you're back in interactive mode. Now type another sentence like everyone should learn hacking, then press Ctrl and D again to save and close it. Now when you type cat hackingskills.txt, you'll see both sentences together. Hacking is the most valuable skill set of the 21st century. Everyone should learn hacking. In step 3, we're going to replace everything inside the file with something new. So this time, type cat greater than hackingskills.txt and type this sentence, everyone in IT security without hacking skills is in the dark. Press Ctrl and D again. Now when you check the file by typing cathackingskills.txt, you'll only see this line. Everyone in IT security without hacking skills is in the dark, and that means the older text has been deleted and replaced with the new one. So just to quickly review, use cat with one greater than symbol to create a new file, use cat with two greater than symbols to add to an existing file, use cat with one greater than symbol again if you want to erase the file and replace it with something new. And always remember, to finish typing and save your changes, press Ctrl and D. That's it for using the cat command to manage your files directly from the terminal. Let's learn how to create files and directories using two simple commands, touch and make directory. File creation with touch. First, let's talk about the touch command. Touch was originally made so a user could update a file's details, like when it was last modified. But if the file does not exist yet, touch will create a new empty file for you. For example, to create a new file called new file, type this command in the terminal, touch new file. After you press enter, the file new file will be created. To check, you can list the files in the directory by typing ls-l. This will show a long list of files, and you should see new file listed with a size of 0, meaning it has no content yet. Creating a directory. Next, let's create a directory, which is like a folder. The command to make a new directory is mkdir, which stands for make directory. To create a directory named new directory, type mkdir new directory. Now to move into this new directory, type cd new directory. This command changes your current location to the new directory folder you just created. That's it. Now you know how to create empty files with touch and folders with mkdir and how to move into those folders using cd. Copying a file. Now let's talk about how to copy a file. To copy files, we use the cp command. This command creates a duplicate of the file in a new location and leaves the original file where it is. In this example, we'll first create a file called old file in the root directory using the touch command touch old file. Then we copy it to another directory, for example /root/new directory, and rename it during the process. Here's how: cp old file /root/new directory/new file. As you can see, we renamed the file from old file to new file while copying it. Renaming the file is optional. If you don't want to rename it, just write the directory path without a new name at the end. The file will keep its original name. Now let's check if the file was copied. First, we move to the new directory, cd new directory. Then we list the contents of the folder, else. And now you should see new file inside that directory, which is a perfect copy of old file. Let's look at how to rename a file in Linux. Unfortunately, Linux doesn't have a command made only for renaming files, like Windows does, but we can use the mv command. This command is usually used to move files or directories, but it can also be used to rename them. So, to rename a file called new file to new file 2, just type mv new file 2. Then, when you type ls, you'll see new file 2 there and new file is gone because it's been renamed. This same method also works for renaming directories. Let's talk about how to remove a file in Linux. To remove a file, you can simply use the rm command. For example, to remove a file called new file 2, you would type rm space new file 2. After that, you can type ls-l to do a long listing of the directory, and you'll see that new file 2 is gone. Removing a directory. The command for removing a directory is very similar to removing a file, but instead of just rm, you add dir to it. So the command becomes rmdir. For example, rmdir new directory. But here's the thing. If the directory is not empty, it won't let you remove it. You'll get a message saying something like, directory not empty. That's a safety feature so you don't delete something by mistake. If you really want to delete a directory and everything inside it, all the files and folders, then you can use the rm command with the -r option, like this. rm-r new directory. Just be very careful with this. If you use rm-r in your home directory, for example, it could delete everything in there. So always double check before running this command. Now that you have some basic skills for navigating around the file system, you can play with your Linux system a bit before moving forward. The best way to become comfortable with using the terminal is to try out your new skills right now. In the next part, we'll go further and deeper into our hacker playground. Exercises. Before you move on to Chapter 2, try out the skills you learned from this chapter by completing the following exercises. 1. Use the ls command from the root directory to explore the directory structure of Linux. Move to each of the directories using the cd command and run pwd to check where you are in the file system. 2. Use the whoami command to check which user you are logged in as. 3. Use the locate command to find word lists that can be used for password cracking. 4. Use the cat command to create a new file, and then add more content to that file. Just remember, the single arrow greater than is used to create or overwrite a file, and the double arrow greater than is used to add content to an existing file. 5. Create a new directory called hacker directory, and inside it, create a new file called hacked file. Now copy that file to your root directory and rename it to secret file. Let's talk about text manipulation. In Linux, almost everything you work with directly is a file, and most of the time, these files are text files. For example, all configuration files in Linux are just text files. So if you want to change how an application works, you just open its configuration file, change the text inside, save it, and restart the app. That's it. The reconfiguration is done. Because there are so many text files in Linux, learning how to work with text is very important, especially if you want to manage Linux systems and Linux applications. In this series, you'll learn different commands and techniques for working with text in Linux. For the examples, I'll use files from the world's best network intrusion detection system called Snort. Snort was first made by Marty Roche and now it's owned by Cisco. NIDS, or Network Intrusion Detection Systems, are often used to catch hackers, so if you want to become a good hacker, you need to know how these systems work, both how they detect attacks and how you might be able to fool them. Note, if the version of Kali Linux you are using does not already have Snort installed, you can install it by typing apt-get install snort. Viewing files in Linux. In Linux, most of what you work with, especially configurations, are text files, so knowing how to view and work with these files is a big part of becoming confident with the terminal. Let's talk about how to view a file with cat. As you saw in previous parts, the most basic way to show the content of a text file is by using the cat command. But cat has some limits. Let's try using cat to view the snort configuration file. This file is called snort.lua and it is located in the /etc/snort directory. Just a quick note, in the new version of Snort, Snort 3, you don't have a file called snort.conf anymore. That's because Snort 3 uses .lua files instead of .conf files. The config file now is written in Lua language, and it's called something like snort.lua. So if you're trying to find snort.conf and you don't see it, don't worry. Just look for snort.lua. That's the new setup. Type this, cat /etc/snort/snort.lua. When you run this command, the entire snort.lua file will appear in your terminal window. It will scroll through the screen until it reaches the end of the file. But this way of viewing the file isn't very helpful, especially if the file is very big. In the next parts, I'll show you how to use two useful commands, head and tail. These commands let you see only the beginning or the end of a file. That makes it easier to quickly find the parts you want to look at. Finding the head. If you just want to view the beginning of a file, you can use the head command. Head /etc/snort/snort.lua. This command will print out the beginning of the file on your screen. You will see something like this. If you want to see more or fewer than the default 10 lines, enter the quantity you want after a dash. For example, if you want to see the first 20 lines of the file, head-20 space /etc/snort/snort.lua. This time, the first 20 lines will be printed on your screen, like this. Finding the tail. The tail command is similar to the head command, but it's used to view the last lines of a file. Let's use it on snort.lua, tail space /etc/snort/snort.lua. This command will show some of the last include lines of the rules files, but not all of them, because by default tail shows 10 lines. You can display more lines by asking for the last 20 lines of snort.lua. Like with the head command, you tell tail how many lines to display by entering a dash and then the number of lines between the command and the file name, like this. Tail space -20 space /etc/snort/snort.lua. Now you can view nearly all the include lines of the rules files on one screen. Numbering the lines. Sometimes, especially with very long files, we want to see the line numbers. Since snort.lua has more than 200 lines, line numbers are helpful. They make it easier to find changes and come back to the same part of the file. To display a file with line numbers, we use the command called nl, which stands for number lines. You just type nl space /etc/snort/snort.lua. When you run this, the terminal will show the file with line numbers before each line. For example, you might see 219, 220, 221. This helps you find places in the file faster. Quick note here, when you use commands like head or tail, they do count the blank lines too, so if there are empty lines, they are still included in the output. But when you use the nl command to add line numbers, it's different. By default, nl skips blank lines, it only adds numbers to lines that have text, so don't get confused if some lines are left unnumbered. That's expected with nl. Filtering text with grep. Sometimes we want to find just a specific word inside a file, and not read the whole thing. That's where the grep command comes in. It's one of the most used tools in Linux for searching text. Let's say you want to find every line that contains the word outputs in your snort.lua file. You can use this command, cat space /etc/snort/snort.lua, then a pipe symbol, then grep space outputs. What this does is, first, cat opens the file. Then the pipe sends the outputs to grep. Grep searches only for lines that have the word outputs in them and shows you just those lines. For example, you might see something like configure outputs. This command is very helpful when working with long files because it saves you time. Instead of scrolling through hundreds of lines, you just find exactly what you need. So remember, when you want to search for a word inside a file, use grep.